Hey guys, and welcome back to my channel. So we're going to do a pretty short video today. If you saw my last video, I mentioned this there, but I am really slammed with work this month and traveling as well, and some of it actually has to do with work. But I'm actually in the process of launching and opening and starting and owning my very, very, very own bar, which has been a dream of mine for, I don't know, as long as I've been bartending, so like over 10 years. So it's a lot of work, especially right now, so I'm trying to get up as many videos as possible on my normal schedule, but I know that this month is going to be a little bit trickier just because of what I have to do to kind of jumpstart the actual start of opening. So I will try my best to continue to get 2 to 3 videos up every single week. I will try really hard to make sure that they're still on Monday, Thursday, and Saturdays. Some of them may not be, but that is just why this month is going to be a little weird, and then hopefully like May, June, July, August will kind of go back to normal. I know September for a fact will be weird, but I'm trying to keep it on the normal schedule. Anyway, if you can see by the title, I wanted to do a whole video today to talk about Twisted Retreat. I've done kind of standalone videos before where I talk about subscription boxes and why I get them and what I like about them. And I know Twisted Retreat, when they first launched, had definitely a lot of people questioning that box. And then they've had a lot of shipping errors throughout their first like year and a half, and yet I am still subscribed to that. So I wanted to, 1, talk about why that is, and then 2, kind of highlight 3 of the books that have really made this box stand out for me. So if you're new here, Twisted Retreat is a monthly subscription horror book box that also kind of pairs self-care goodies with like horror themes inside of the box. They are owned by the Unplugged company, which is an entire book box that likes to pair books with items to help with mental health and like distressing and relaxation, and I love that company. So when I saw that they were doing a horror box, I was really, really, really excited. The other thing that they do is, along with all of the goodies that you do get books that are limited editions and special editions that have been completely redesigned and exclusive to the box. They are beautiful, and we're going to go through 3 examples today. However, when they first launched, they released a novel, I believe it was called River of Ashes, and I hated it. It was my like one-star read of the year, and it was awful and offensive, and I was so let down because the rest of the box I thought was great, and the goodies were so good, and the book was just awful. It was awful, and I hate saying that about a book, but it was awful, and it was very offensive, and it was really poor taste, and a lot of people I know fell off afterwards and were like, I'm not getting this box anymore. This is the type of content they're going to have. Luckily, since then, they have done a plethora of amazing, amazing, amazing books. And even with some of the shipping delays that they have had, a lot of things were out of their circumstances where certain items from overseas didn't ship. There have been a lot of things with like, obviously like residuals from the pandemic or just stuff happening overseas that have made it so items don't get to them in time. But since then, they have actually reconfigured how they ship their boxes, and since they've done that, I've actually been getting all of my boxes much faster and for the most part on time, unless there were like weird unforeseen delays outside of their control, and they've always been extremely open about that. So they definitely have their flaws, and they definitely are a little bit on the pricier side. It is $62 a month. However, that does include the shipping and handling. So it's really not that much more than some of the other boxes I get, like Nightworms. And I will be doing a video similar to this all on Nightworms. I'm going to focus a lot more on the authors than on the actual books themselves. But what I'm trying to say in a very long-winded way is that I really do like Twisted Retreat. Obviously, I'm not sponsored by them or anything. They don't pay me to do any of this. I do this because I really love the box, and I've had nothing but great experiences with their customer service. And I just want to go through the 3 top books that I have with me today to kind of highlight as my favorite books that I've received from them. And all 3 books are by authors I hadn't really heard of before, and were probably books I wouldn't have picked up without the box. And I think that's really, really important because they are doing stuff that the other horror boxes I don't think are doing. I know when I had Abominable box at the same time as Nightworms, I was getting a lot of repeats. However, I haven't had a single repeat or overlap with Nightworms and Twisted Retreat, and I'm really, really thankful for that. So let's dive into my 3 books. The last 2 books both made it into my top 10 reads of 2023, and This first book is just a book that I really enjoyed, enough so that it is the beginning of a series, and I am currently halfway through book 2, so want to highlight that. And that is Legacy Witches by Cass Kay. Now, if you watched my video, I think I uploaded it 2 ago, which is like if you're fans of certain horror films, you should read these books. I mentioned how this is very similar in tone to Netflix's The Chilling Adventures of Sabrina. I know that that's a TV show and not a movie, but now that I'm deep into the second book, I just want to double down and confirm that that is how I feel about this series. It is so what I want and need from not having Chilling Adventures on Netflix anymore. Or, you know, like not actually being made. But this is it. This is the Twisted Retreat copy. It is really something. It's very stunning. All Twisted Retreat editions do have these beautiful, like, stenciled edges, as you can see. We have the phases of the moon. And I think these are, like, dripping eyes here. When you open the inside flap, you do get a map of the fictionalized version of Salem. This book is set in Salem, and for the most part is very similar to what Salem in reality looks like. However, they do change a couple locations of a few things and make it just a little bit more whimsical. And then this is the actual cover of the book. I really love this cover. I like that it says Legacy Witches. I like that it kind of looks like an imitation leather-bound book. I like, again, that we have the name as well as the author on the spine, and then we get this house in the back. And if you actually read the book, this back cover actually makes a lot more sense than when I first got this and was like, okay, like we're inside of a house. Why? The house is very important to the entirety of the plot as well as the series as a whole. We also get this really nice little interior illustration, and it does have a listing of all of the Roots Legacy Witches ancestry, which is also very important to our main character. And I am so thrilled with this book. I will say this actual edition does have a printing error in it. There is a chapter that's repeated accidentally. Twisted Retreat did make us very much aware of it, and they did offer free ebook copies to anybody who wanted them as an apology for it. It didn't really bother me. It was just kind of like, oh, like I know that there's this repeated chapter, just skip ahead and you're fine. And it made reading the book was like no different than normal. So let's read the inside flap. Seeing ghosts and coming from a long line of murderous witches has made life less than sunshine and rainbows for Vianna Roots. When she inherits the family's haunted house, she decides flipping the rundown dump for cash is the smartest move. But the ghosts that haunt her have a different plan. After encountering the spirit of a missing local witch, Vianna finds herself drawn into the mystery of who murdered the girl, and her meddling draws the attention of the oldest coven in Salem. When they make an offer on the house, Vianna hesitates. Cutting ties with the demon who possesses her home and the transgender outcast witch, who may just be the best friend she never knew she wanted, isn't so simple. The tainted legacy of the witches before her was why she ran 10 years ago, but this time, Vianna is ready to prove that the past doesn't define her. If you've read the X-Hex, Darcy Coates, even to an extent some of T. Kingfisher and Rachel Harrison, I feel like this is definitely going to be a book for you. There's definitely scary scenes, scary imagery, and it does have adult content in it. However, it still kind of reads like a kind of cozy horror story. I don't want to say YA. It does kind of have like the YA tone of Chilling Adventures of Sabrina in certain aspects of it, but I wouldn't qualify this as a YA book. But if you were looking for that kind of vibe, but a little more mature, pick this up. I really enjoy this book, and I'm really loving the series. Next up, I also spoke about this in my most latest If You Like This Film, Read This Book video, and I actually compared this to Lost because that is a TV series, and unbeknownst to me when I picked this up, this is also the start of a series. But this is Brier Dark by S.A. Harrian. It says, "Don't stray from the path." I adore this book. This did make it into my top 10 reads of 2023. I was so bummed when I found out it was a series because I was hoping to get all of the answers of all of the crazy things that are happening in this story. And I didn't. I got some, but not a lot, and it just made me want to read more. And I say this all the time on my channel, but I'm typically not a fan of series It's very hard to win me over on a series, and usually I get won over when I read a book that I think is a standalone and then love it so much and find out I have to keep reading more, which is exactly what happened with this one. Before I get even deeper into it, let's look at this beautiful cover. This is actually a scene from the story. It's very, very scary when you find the skeletal head in the tree branch. Pretty simple on the back. We do have like just pretty basic dark stenciled edges. Open it up, we get these trees on the inside. I believe it's the same on both. It does have a reverse dust jacket. It's very, very simple though. It's just kind of this interior moment, so not quite as intricate as some of the ones that they've had previously. And then for this cover, we do get Brier Dark, both facing upwards and upside down, which actually makes a lot of sense when you read the book. Sometimes I look at these covers when I get them before I've read the book, and I'm just like, I don't think I get what they're doing. Obviously, we have this like foiled edge skull. We do have the name Brier Dark and the author written here. And then we have what looks kind of like the glacier and mountains and woods that are the main setting of this story. And mine does have a signature, which is great. So again, in my previous video, I did talk about how this was very much akin to Lost, and I feel like if you're a fan of Lost and you're looking for something with a general vibe of Lost, this is definitely the book for you, but this is nowhere near a carbon copy. You're not really sure where, what, who, when, why things are happening, but a lot of things are happening and a lot of people are trapped in the wilderness, so that's kind of where the overlap happens, and you do get these kind of flash forwards into the lives before and during the main plot points of the novel. I'm going to read the inside flap. For Dr. Sienna DuPont and her ambitious team, the Alpenglow Glacier expedition is a career-defining opportunity. But 30 miles into the desolate Dead Switch wilderness, they discover a missing hiker dangling from a tree, and their satellite phones fail to call out. Then, the body vanishes without a trace. The disappearance isn't the only chilling anomaly. Sienna's map no longer aligns with the trail. The glacier they were supposed to study has inexplicably melted. Strange foliage overruns the mountainside. And a tunnel within a tree hollow lures Sienna to a hidden cabin and a stranger with a sinister message. Holden Sharp's IT job offers little distraction from his wasted potential until he stumbles upon a decommissioned hard drive and an old audio file. Trapped on a mountain, Dr. Sienna DuPont recounts an expedition in chaos and the bloody death of a colleague. Entranced by the mystery, Holden searches for answers to Sienna's fate, but he is unprepared for the truth that will draw him to the outskirts of Dead Switch Wilderness, a place teeming with unfathomable nightmares and impossibilities. If you read Adam Neville's The Ritual, the first part of that book, you're going to get a lot of like similarities in vibe and tone to the entirety of this book. I really, really love the first half of The Ritual. I think it's one of the best things Adam Neville has ever written. And I picked up Brier Dark because it felt like it was going to be similar to that story, and it definitely was, but in a completely different, reimagined kind of way. Okay, and then last but not least, this actually was my second best read of 2023. It was very, very close. Brother was number one, but number two was Salow Bend by Alan Baxter. This is the book that you read if like you're a fan of Stephen King's It and small town horror and maybe not coming of age stories, but again, really honing in on and untraditional main characters stepping into heroic leads. I adored this book. This is pretty much the original cover of the novel, but they did redo the inside. This is a Cemetery Dance publication, and I absolutely love Cemetery Dance. We do still have the stenciled edging here. We kind of get like the carnival motif on the edges. We have this kind of, I don't know what you would call that, like sand after like a tide has gone over it. I don't really know. And then we have this as our cover. I do have to say, apart from like kind of like the lake right here, I don't quite understand why this was used as the imagery for this, but you do get Salow Bend and Alan Baxter on the cover. I love when these are on the cover. Same thing on the spine, and then we get like kind of the empty lake again on the back. So this is definitely not my favorite design from Twisted Retreat, but it is my favorite book that they've ever sent us. And I'm really happy about it because originally I was actually going to get this book in a Nightworms, and this is the only time it's ever happened to my knowledge, but Nightworms actually wasn't able to send us the novel, so they ended up sending us something else. So I had a signed book plate for this book that I was able to send to put in it, because it did come with the Nightworms package, oddly, even though we didn't get the book. And I'm just so happy that this book did end up coming back to me in the end, because I would have missed out on it from Nightworms. I wasn't 100% sure if I was ever going to pick it up, even though I kind of wanted to because I had heard chatter about it. But I got it, and I read it, and I loved it. So let's read the inside plot. Something old and deadly has awoken. When two teenagers go missing from the small rural town of Salow Bend, the residents come together to search for them. Little do they suspect that finding the wayward girls will be the start of their problems. An old evil is rising, and only one man seems to realize that everyone is in danger, and this is not the first time it's happened. With the carnival in town, people want to have a good time, but for many, this will be the worst time of their lives. I'm just going to kind of leave it at that. This story really unfolds on its own, and it has layers and layers and layers of weird, creepy, evil entities done in ways I haven't seen before. And I loved the small town setting paired with the like carnival has come to town kind of cliche flipped on its head. I love that we get inside looks at our main town folk as well as inside looks at our carnival leads, and I just found this to be such a fun and captivating story. And that was an absolute 5-star read for me. I adored that book. And now I haven't read these yet, but these are the Twisted Retreat books that I currently have right next to me on my TBR pile, so they will be read soon. I have I have Sugarcane by Cassandra Sella, which says work, eat, sleep, repeat, and it has this like foiled stenciled edging, and some like really kind of scary imagery inside of it. It is signed by the author, and it is very, very short, so I'm thinking I'll get to this one right after I finish the Legacy Witches book. It's like less than 150 pages, but I love how every now and then they give us these like kind of imitation leather books. I think they're beautiful, and I really hope we get more. I'm also planning on reading These Things Linger by Dan Franklin, which is another Cemetery Dance release. This is also another absolutely just stunning book. I've heard a lot of chatter about this book as well, so I'm really, really excited to get my hands on that, or to finally dive into that book. And then we also have Through a Glass Darkly by W.H. Hussey, which is another book that I have seen people chatting about online. And again, we do have these beautiful interior moments. Woo! And then this kind of like really weird, whimsical cover on the front. So far, I have been really thoroughly impressed with Twisted Retreat, especially since their first box was such a disappointment. And I just want to continue to keep reading what they have been presenting us with, and hoping to find more books that I love as much as Salow Bend and Brier Dark and Legacy Witches, because those were really, truly just diamonds in the rough, and I am so glad I picked them up, and I enjoyed them so much. Anyways, that is all that I have for you guys today. As always, I try to post every Monday and Thursday, sometimes on Saturday. Hopefully we'll keep to that schedule. And if you enjoy these videos, please hit the like and subscribe buttons down below, and I will catch you all in the next one. Mwah.